Right. Good morning to everyone. My name is Suresh, working as a contract lecturer in mechanical department in Jogapet. Right. Today we will discuss about the next class. That is the fuel system of a petrol engine and simple fuel system of petrol engine and working of a simple and zenith carburetor. So this is our topic today topic. Right. So let's coming to the in last previous class what we discussed the fuel system of diesel engine. Right. Next one the functions of elements of a diesel cycle, diesel system, a diesel fuel system. Right. In this case, in last class what we discussed. So fuel system, fuel how entering into the into the cylinder, engine cylinder through the fuel pump and fuel injector, fuel filter will be there. So these are the main main elements of a fuel system. And next one, functions of each and every element like a fuel tank, fuel feed pump, and fuel filter, fuel injector, and fuel injection pump. So these are the main elements. Each and every function will be there creating. Finally, the amount of fuel is transferred from the tank to the engine cylinder with a high pressure in the form of atomized formation or spray type of formation. So material will be the amount of fuel will be transferring into the engine cylinder. So that is in last class we are discussed. Right now we will discuss about the first one, know the various elements of fuel system in petrol engine. Right. Next one, know the working elements of fuel system of petrol. Right. We are already discussed in diesel system. Right now we are discussing about the fuel system in petrol engines and know the working of simple carburetor. So carburetor is the one of the main unit in the main unit in the fuel system in petrol system. Right. So in this we need to uh, uh, supply the fuel in petrol system. Fuel system SI engine. So consist again we have one more same like of elements, fuel elements in SI engine. First one is the fuel tank. So fuel tank is this is placed at high level stationary engines. So it is already placed at a high level. So high level means the some amount of height, right? Less stationary engines, scooters, cycles, right? So fuel is fed to the carburetor due to the gravity. So always for the fuel is transferred. So the fuel is fed to the carburetor. So by the moving with the in the motion of gravity, right? In automobile engines, it is placed at lower level. Hence, fuel pump is necessary. Right, a lower level fuel pump is necessary. Right. So next one is the fuel pump. One more element, fuel pump. It delivers the fuel to the carburetor from tank. It may a mechanically operated pump. Fuel pump is a mechanical operated pump. And then next one, fuel pump delivers the fuel to the carburetor. It is mechanically operated pump. Right. Then fuel system, fuel filter is there. Right. You can observe here fuel filter. Fuel filter is used to remove the foreign particles, foreign matter such as dirt particles or water, etc. These are the presence. So which are presence in the petrol, it will be removed. So filter is used to remove the foreign particles, foreign matter such as dirt particles, water, etc. We need to remove. There are three filters are arranged in series. So generally any fuel tank, any fuel system, there is a only one filter is provided in the uh, petrol engine. There is a three series of filters are provided, right? For the one is mounted on the inlet of the tank, right? One is provided it mounted on the inlet of the tank. Second one is incorporated a fuel pump, right? Second one is already it is incorporated with the help of fuel pump. Third one is the It is a fine filter. It is placed between the fuel pump and carburetor. Fuel pump and carburetor. Right, the dirt particles are cleaned periodically, continuously, one by one, once by stage. The fuel particles are continuously, periodically cleaned. Right. Then next one you can observe here the system, fuel system in SI engine. So fuel system in spark ignition. Spark ignition means petrol engines. Right. First one is the fuel tank. Right, fuel tank, the fuel will be the entering into the, first of all we can pour the petrol into the fuel tank, then transfer to the fuel pump. Right, then transfer to the fuel pump, and say a third one, the to the from the fuel pump to the fuel filter. So filter is also used for to clean the dirt particle, to remove the dirt particles. Then again fuel is transferred to the carburetor. Right, carburetor to, it is transferred to the engine cylinder. Right, on or before, air filter also provided top of the carburetor. Air is entering into the through air filter. Air is sucked to the into the air filter. The air is continuously transferred to the carburetor. In carburetor, air and fuel both are mixed. Air and fuel both are mixed in the carburetor. So from the carburetor, the air and fuel both are transferred to the engine cylinder, while in suction stroke only. Right, in suction stroke, air fuel mixture is entered into the engine cylinder. Right, that is the main thing. So you can observe here, so first of all fuel tank is there. Fuel is filled with filled in tank. The fuel is transferred to the fuel pump. So fuel pump to the, and next to the fuel filter, and next is transferred to the carburetor. So only in carburetor main function will be the to maintain the rich mixture. Rich mixture means air fuel mixture, 10:1 ratio, 10% of air, 1% of petrol, both are mixed. It is dividing into tiny volume like spray, otherwise a small amount of spray type of tiny volume, just water particles type. It will be divided. The carburetor, the air fuel mixture ratio is transferred into the engine cylinder. Engine cylinder consisting of you can observe here, air and petrol both are coming into the through inlet wall. Right, inlet wall, the air and fuel will be the deposited into the engine cylinder. Right, then next, what are the main elements? You can observe here, already we have discussed it, but once again, elements of fuel system in SI engine. The main elements, fuel tank, fuel pump, fuel filter, and carburetor. Same as the diesel engine, but in diesel engine, so we are providing the fuel pump is provided. Here is the carburetor is provided. Right, same function with the fuel tank is common, and fuel pump is provided, fuel filter is provided. These are the same functioning. Right, so first one is the fuel system of SI engine. Filter is drawn from the tank. Right, filter is drawn from the tank. Then fuel filter separates foreign particles in the fuel. Right, fuel is drawn from the taken by the pump. Fuel filter separated foreign particles in the fuel. So fuel is then supplied to the carburetor. Fuel is supplied to the carburetor, and fuel is mixed with air in the carburetor. Fuel is mixed, right, with air in the carburetor. Air fuel mixture from the carburetor is supplied to engine. Air and fuel, carburetor, through the carburetor, air and fuel both are mixed in the carburetor. Right, so carburetor is supplied to the directly to the engine cylinder. So second one is the next one, fuel pump. Right, you can observe here fuel pump. So to deliver the fuel to the carburetor, diaphragm is actuated by rocker arm. So by operating of cam, so what will happen? Fuel is entering to the from the tank, from tank to the again. Next is a transfer to the outlet wall. So outlet wall means inside draw inside diaphragm is provided for the to operating. So it means increasing the pressure. So increasing of pressure means maximum amount of pressure to increasing purpose we are using. Then next one, vacuum is created in the chamber above the diaphragm. right? Inlet valve is opened. Then next one, fuel entered, fuel enters the pump. Again fuel will be there, enters the pump. Then next one, a diaphragm is released by the further rotation of cam and rocker arm. Here rocker cam already provided, so it is the rotation of cam, automatically the diaphragm, the vacuum is created in the chamber above the diaphragm, inlet valve is opened, fuel enters the pump, right? Next one, pressure production, diaphragm is released by the further action, right? Pressure is produced in the chamber, inlet valve closed and outlet valve is opened, fuel supplied to the carburetor under pressure. So directly the uh, amount of fuel will be transferred to the directly to the carburetor. All right, right now we will discuss about the carburetor. First of all, honor before to know, do you know drive a scooter or motorcycle? Everyone says yes. Have you heard the name of carburetor? Yes, we are heard already carburetor name, but the main function, what is the main function, we don't know, right? Do you know what a carburetor does? Right, first of all, so maximum some of the maximum students are maximum most of the members already drive a scooter or motorcycle. So some of the students own vehicle, persons who are there, they will they know about the carburetor. So there some of the, they don't know the what is the function of carburetor. So main function of carburetor, so already we are discussed. Carburetor, you can observe here, carburetor is a unit used in a petrol engines, right? Carburetor is one unit used in a petrol engine to mix air and fuel in correct ratio. Air and fuel both are in correct ratio, and to supply the engine cylinder. Correct ratio means not same amount of fuel, not same amount of air. So correct ratio means 10 is to 1 ratio, right? 10 is to 1 ratio, 10 is to 1 ratio, the air and fuel both are mixed in the engine cylinder. How it is mixed? The fuel pump is provided, fuel pump will be the fuel will be transferred to the carburetor. So carburetor is already placed fuel, and air will be entered into the carburetor from the atmospheric through the air filters, and both are mixed in carburetor, right, and supplied to the engine cylinder through the inlet valve, right, to the inlet valve. So inlet valve, so what will happen, the maximum amount of air fuel mixture is sending to the engine cylinder directly, right? At the time the air fuel mixture is supplied the carburetor main. So we have a different type of carburetors are there: simple carburetor, zenith carburetor. So first one is the simple carburetor. So main function will be the same for the each and every carburetor, but to maintaining, right, first one is the simple carburetor. To maintain a small reversed of petrol at a constant level in float chamber. To maintain a small reversed reservoir of petrol at constant level in a float chamber, to atomize the liquid fuel and to mix with it air, right? To maintain a small reserve of petrol, and the little bit amount of petrol will be placed in the carburetor at constant level in float chamber. In simple carburetor, float chamber will be provided, so it is a level of fuel will be maintained to atomize the liquid fuel and to mix with air. So atomized means it's a dividing into tiny volume of sprinkle, just like a small volume of water particles, just like it is spray type, just like, right? To atomize the liquid fuel and mix with it air, and to supply air fuel mixture at correct ratio, right? Both are mixed in carburetor, air and fuel, and to supply the air fuel at correct ratio. Correct ratio means 10 is to 1 ratio, right? Both are mixed. So here you can observe a figure of a simple carburetor. So it is a consisting of float chamber, venturi tube, fuel jet, and throttle valve. These are the consisting of fuel is delivered to the float chamber, by the gravity or by a pump. Generally gravity is provided. So in this case you can observe first one is the it's a consisting of float chamber inside which are casing provided float chamber, and next venturi tube, right. Throttle valve is operated, throttle valve also provided. Fuel is delivered to the float chamber by the gravity. So generally fuel tank is placed top on the vehicle, maximally some amount of height. The carburetor is placed at bottom of the fuel tank always. The flow will be always in gravity, right. It is moves in gravity position, right. That is the main thing, our pump will be used, but generally we know only with help of gravity only, right. Right, you can during suction stroke, so the partial vacuum is created inside. Already we know that in during engine say suction stroke in engine cylinder, partial amount of vacuum is created always due to this airflow into the carburetor, right. While in carburetor it is directly connected to the engine cylinder. So what will happen due to the airflow into the carburetor, right. As the air passes through the venturi throat, it is velocity increases and pressure decreases. So what will happen as the air passes through venturi throat, its velocity increases and pressure decreases. So pressure decreases. So due to low pressure at throat, fuel come out of jet. So from the jet, so fuel will be come out. The fuel is delivered by the jet mixed with its air streams, and it is atomized. So generally so will be generally due to the low pressure at throat, fuel comes out of jet, right. The fuel delivered by the jet mix with the airstream and is atomized. The fuel is delivered by the jet mixes with the airstream and is atomized. The air and fuel mixture admitted into the engine cylinder, right. So an engine cylinder. So working of a simple car choke is easy to start the engine from the cold condition by supplying of rich mixture. We know already while starting of anyone, sometimes we need to operate the choke, right. Choke is used to start the engine from the cold condition by supplying of rich mixture. Throttle valves controls the flow of airstream to the engine cylinder. So throttle valve is provided control the flow of airflow. So while we are accelerating operating always, we can go with help of operating with help of mixture of engine cylinder, right. Then next one, zenith carburetor, right. Zenith carburetor, right. You can observe here also throttle valve is there, again float chamber also provided, right. Right, throttle valve is provided, zenith, each and everything will be provided while operating of the throttle choke or throttle. So the fuel is sending to the engine cylinder, air and fuel mixture sending to the engine cylinder. So zenith carburetor consisting of compensating and starting of jets in addition to main jet. Compensating jet receives the fuel from the compensating jet well, right. Compensating well is connected to float chamber, right. So compensating jet is flow to the chamber. So these are the main. When the engine is standstill level in petrol, compensating well same as the float chamber. So that is the main thing, right. Zenith carburetor again, once again we can check once again. The operation of zenith carburetor, it will be seen the besides the main jet there are compensating and starting jets connected to the compensating well, right. You can observe figure again once again, right. You can observe here, right. The main jet similar to the jet of the simple carburetor. Compensating jet receives the fuel from the compensating well, right. Compensating well, the fuel will compensating jet receives the fuel from compensating well, which is connected to the float chamber. So which will be connected to the float chamber through the restricted orifice. So restricted, the compensating well is open to the atmosphere, when the engine speed is increases, the suction increases and main jet delivers a rich mixture. Delivers a main rich mixture. The compensating jet also delivers rich mixture initially, but soon the delivery of fuel from the compensating jet decreases the due to the decrease in the fuel level in the well. That is the lean fuel supplied to the compensating jet. This can be compensated for the rich mixture delivered by the main jet. Thus, the air fuel mixture ratio of the mixture is supplied to the engine remains constant. Engine remains constant. So while supplying of so while supplying of while supplying of while supplying of fuel to sending to the engine cylinder, right? This is the zenith carburetor, right? Again, during starting and idle or slow running, the throttle is opening is a small and high vacuum is created near the throttle valves towards the engine side. This provides required pressure differences to cause the flow of fuel from compensating well through starting jet. Sufficient quantity of fuel is supplied to through starting jet to produce rich mixture required to start the engine. As throttle valve is opened for high speed, the suction near to the throttle is seized and flow the fuel from the starting jet stops. Starting jet stops always. So this is the function of zenith carburetor. Already what we are told already, the when the engine is speed increases, the mixture is supplied by the main jet. A lean mixture is supplied by the compensating jet. Both the jets together should be supply the constant air fuel ratio. So already a rich mixture is produced at normal speed. At normal throttle valve is open and flow of fuel from the starting jet is stopped, right? We are discussed. Finally, the air and fuel will be transferring. Air and fuel is supplying to the engine cylinder through the zenith carburetor and simple carburetor. Finally, to operate the engine cylinder while in idle condition or running condition, while in load condition, whatever may be, each and every time we need to go with help of we need to give with help of move to supply the maximum amount of fuel, air fuel mixture. In this case, what we have discussed: working of simple carburetor, working of zenith carburetor. Simple carburetor is used to supply the same amount of air fuel. At the same time, zenith carburetor also to supply the main supply the fuel to the engine cylinder. So these are the main thing, right? That is our class. In this class we have to a small amount of doubts, quiz questions are there. Which of the following is not related to simple carburetor? Does not supply constant air fuel as speed is increases, it fails to supply rich mixture to start the engine from cold. It has no provision of delivery of extra fuel. It has compensating and starting jet beside main jet. So it is the answer is it has compensating and starting jet main jet. Next one, second one is rich fuel. Rich fuel is required when the engine is running at economical speed, running at medium speed, idling, none of the above. Right? The answer is idle. Right? Then next one. So this is a class. Just like we have an assignment questions like explain the differences between the simple carburetor and zenith carburetor. So these are the main examination questions. Right? Thank you. Thanks to everyone. We are discussing about the same fuel system of SI engine, fuel system of spark ignition engine, fuel system of petrol engine. So in this consisting of, we can call it is the induction system of SI engine. The SI engines, the homogeneous mixture of air and fuel is prepared outside the engine cylinder, the air fuel mixture supplied to the engine cylinder, right? Engine cylinder during the suction stroke, right? The process of preparing charge, atomizing the fuel, and mixing of fuel with the air at required position for spark ignition engines, called, we can call it as a carburetor. And then the supplying of air and fuel. So supplying of air and fuel with the system, uh, the supplying of air and fuel to the carburetor with the system of main parts are fuel tank is main, fuel pump is main, right? Then next one, fuel filter, and next one, third one, the main thing, one by one we can clear observe here. First one is the fuel tank. It is placed at high level in a stationary engines, scooters and cycle motors. Fuel is fed the carburetor due to the gravity. The automobile engines, it is placed lower level, hence the fuel pump is necessary, right? The fuel tank is placing, this the main description. Again, fuel pump is provided, it delivers the fuel to the carburetor. It is mechanically operated pump. And one more, fuel filter is also provided. This system is remove the, what is the main function of fuel filter? The system, this is used to remove the foreign matter such as the dirt particles, water, etc., present in the petrol. So how much amount of any dirt particles or water or any other material is deposited in petrol, it will be removed with help of this filter. So there are three filters are arranged in a series. One is mounted on the inlet of the tank, second one is incorporated in the fuel pump, third one is the it's a fine filter. It is placed between the fuel pump and carburetor. The dirt places are cleaned periodically, right? So this is the fuel system of spark ignition engines. First one is the fuel tank. Fuel tank is the fuel is entering into the fuel tank, and next it's the tank of the fuel is entered into the fuel pump from the tank. And next one, the again the pump will be to increasing its pressure. And then next one, it will be sent to the fuel filter to remove the dirt particles. Again, the fuel is entered from the moved from the fuel pump to the carburetor. Again, carburetor is connected with help of air filter also. Air is sucking from the atmospheric, right, through air filter, and the pure air is sent to the carburetor. In this carburetor, air and fuel both are mixed, right? The correct ratio of air fuel mixture ratio is maintained, and it is supplied to the engine cylinder directly. The correct air fuel ratio means 10:1 ratio, right? In 10:1 ratio, the air fuel mixture is sent to the directly to the engine cylinder. So whenever the in suction stroke, while the vacuum is created, the inlet valve whenever open, the air fuel mixture will be entered into the engine cylinder. And next one, second level. So what are the main elements? Fuel tank, fuel pump, carburetor, fuel filter also there. So fuel system of fuel is drawn from the taken by the tank, right? Fuel is drawn from the tank by pump. Fuel filter separates foreign particles in the fuel. Fuel is then supplied to the carburetor. Fuel is mixed within the air in the carburetor. Air fuel mixture from the carburetor is supplied to the engine. Again, one of the pump also provided in fuel pump, that is a function to deliver the fuel to the carburetor. Diaphragm is actuated by the rocker arm, right? Vacuum is created in the chamber above the diaphragm. Inlet valve is opened, right? The fuel is entered into the pump. Then the diaphragm is released by the further rotation of cam and rocker arm. Diaphragm pushed by the pump, right? Next one, again continuation. Pressure is produced in the chamber. Inlet valve is the inlet valve is closed, the outlet valve is opened, fuel is supplied to the carburetor under pressure, right? These are the main need of in fuel system in petrol engines, SI engines. And again, coming to the we know the already we have discussed this topic, and next one is the carburetor is the main important mechanical device in the SI engines. It is a carburetor is a unit used to petrol engines to mix the air and fuel in correct ratio and supplying to the engine cylinder. So that is the main thing. What is the main function of cylinder? Functions to maintain the small reserved of a petrol at a constant level in flow chamber, to maintaining the small level, small reserved, and it means some amount of level of petrol is maintained in the float chamber in carburetor to atomize the liquid fuel, and it to mix with air. So what is the main function for the to reserve the petrol? Means to atomize the liquid fuel and to mix with it air, to supply air fuel mixture at a constant ratio, right? So this is the working of simple carburetor. So we are already discussed, and we have a one more carburetor is a function will be the same. Actuation, the main actuation is the working is the different. Just again we have one more carburetor is there, zenith carburetor. Zenith carburetor consisting of compensating and starting jets in addition to main jet. Compensating jet receives fuel from compensating well. Compensating well is connected to the flow chamber. When the engine is stand still, the level of petrol compensating well with the same float chamber. This is the, again you can observe here figure also there for the zenith carburetor, how we are supplying the air and fuel into the engine cylinder, right? The throttle valve is opened by supplying of air and fuel into the engine cylinder. So to process, right, it is very easy, right? This is your again class, so you can read carefully. Thank you.